today I built a JSON parser using a parser combinator library that I built from scratch in Gleam. Gleam is a functional programming language just for building systems that scale, yada yada yada. But I was able to get a JSON parser going in. Now, to parse JSON, you need to know what type JSON is. Now, JSON has a type which is essentially a self-referential type that contains either a null value, a Boolean value, a numbers, a string, an array, which is essentially a list of JSON values or an array of JSON values if you use regular OOP languages. And then a JSON object is a list of key value pairs, which are represented by this tuple here, basically saying it's a list of a string associated with its JSON value. So it's a self-referential type right here, and you need this type to build your abstract syntax tree, and which is essentially just showing the relationships of all the types in your grammar. But whatever, right? The point is you need to build the point is to build the parser, and ignore this type fun. I didn't build it into the function, but essentially to build it you take you have to take a parser that can parse any choice of JSON values, right? A choice being a JSON null, which I've defined some here, somewhere down here, or JSON boolean number string array, which I have all defined here. And using the parser combinator library that I built from scratch, you're able to just define these types in a very concise manner, and it's essentially just like what um, it's just like 130 lines of code with a large chunk of the code just really designed to format the JSON object in the first place, right? So now I'm just gonna essentially just just try to use it from here, right? So here we have like what you would get if you got a string that essentially just use JSON syntax. So there are like 3 levels to this. I'm just gonna um, get these all going out so I can use them right now, but there are essentially 3 kinds of JSON strings I'm using here. The first one will not have any self-referential type in it, so you wouldn't have any type that would reference the JSON value grammar again to make it recursive. So I'm just gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna run it. So you can see you have the simple JSON string, blah 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 blah. You have your name, your Alice, age, 25, city, whatever. You have this JSON value. Very simple. All right, cool. Now to do this, I'm just gonna run, and then boom. I'm ignoring that. Ignoring these warnings. You have your JSON value right here, printed out. Your number is not in quotes. Your booleans printed out as an actual boolean. Okay, cool. So now let's try the other one. The other one has a self-referential type, which begins as a JSON array. Now remember, a JSON array is a list of JSON values, so it could be whatever value that we have like in here, right? Uh, right. So it could be whatever value that we have here, right? You can have your JSON null, bool string, whatever. So back to that, a JSON value would just be of our JSON array would be a list of types that kind of self that could refer to itself multiple times. But given the parser combinator library we have, we've already taken care of that. And then if we run this, oh, sorry, my bad. And if we run this, so yeah, if you run this now, you can see the self-referential types in action here. Um, for you have your name, you have your age, which is just an array of numbers, and then you have your Boolean values, and you have city, which is an object that has another object that has a value. There are a bunch of values in it. Okay, so cool. So that works. And now we can even parse any JSON value as long as it's valid. And just to demonstrate the last one, I have this last value I called test. Let me see. Test is just this really, really long string that you will get from just having a very, very a moderately sized JSON object, right? So you have that, and by running it here, Yeah, and you've just you parse this just beautifully using the format that I pre-described in the thing. So this is really nice. I'm glad I was able to get this going. And yeah, we got a JSON parser using the parser combinator library. And then I think the next steps for me would just to be building more parsers for other things, probably like a YAML parser or probably even like a small language that I can define by myself, right? Be like a compiler or an interpreter, whatever, build stuff like that. But yeah, we got a successful JSON parser.